I love the story of the Tropfest thing.
Yeah.
The Tropfest thing.
Yeah.
Tropfest winner.
Yeah.
But it just cracked me up because you were telling it to me. It might have been after training one day. Just explain to people that don't understand Tropfest. It's a short film festival, a very renowned short film festival.
Yeah.
But there's certain rules that you have. You've got to have submit your short film by a certain date.
That's right.
It's got to contain something. So
that's the Tropfest signature item.
Yeah, so people can't work on it for 2 years and then deliver.
That's right.
Tell us about the way
this came about.
All the effort you put into to win the Tropfest.
That's right. Well, look, this was an extraordinary thing, and this is John Paulson's brainchild, the great John Paulson, lovely actor and an extraordinary director and a really interesting guy in his own right. Anyway, he set Tropfest up. And for many, many years, it was this great thing, and it kept building. People that know the story know that it started down at Tropicana Cafe. They took over the street there one night. X number of years later, they take it to Rushcutters Bay. By 2006, when we're entered, it was at the Domain with 70,000 people or however many people. And it was, there was prizes. You get flown to America and you win cameras and you get cash prize. It was just over the top crazy and heaps of fun. It was Sunday night. It's Australia, so everyone's getting loose down there with their picnic rugs and their cheeses and their wines and the massive screens, and it's yada, yada, yada. So and remember, of course, this is the Pulse, John Paulson. So the guest judges and Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe and Gabriel, but all the biggest stars. Samuel L. Jackson came out one year. Anyway, it was just mad. Everyone puts in a lot to try and get this... Get involved. It's like 700, 800 entries, and the film's got to be 7 minutes. Well, we were going to do something. I was trying to get a TV show up at the time, which we eventually did, called Shandon Pictures. Yeah. It was like, let's try and get into Tropfest, and we'll make a little bit of something with our characters from Shandon Pictures, and we'll put it into Tropfest, and we'll try and shine a light on us that way. But, of course, I didn't write the damn script, and then the deadline hovered, and then my mate, Alex Weinerus, the beautiful Alex Weinerus, who I ended up... co-directing Shandon with. He rings up, he says, Rob, we've got to do something. All right? I'm like, well, you do something. And he said, well, what about that stand-up bit you do about the single father of twins choosing a favourite child? And I had twins at the time. I did this stand-up bit, and the opening line of the stand-up bit was, if I can give anyone advice who has twins or might get twins, choose a favourite. My reading suggests that the worst thing about being a twin is never feeling like an individual. Favouritism fixes that. One of my boys will always know Daddy loves him. Well, no, that's stating it too harsh, I think. There'll always be enough love to go around. There may not always be enough bicycles or private school educations. So we turned that into a short film. It was a mock documentary. We filmed it in 4 hours. It cost us $28. We edited it in a day. We popped it into Tropfest. We won Tropfest. We won all the gear. We travelled overseas and we went to festivals all around the world. And it was a fun thing.
See how hard these actors work. Anyone that thinks they don't put in an effort. No, that's just the premise of the story just cracked me up. And if can you still see it online? Is it?
Yeah. If you Google Carmichael and Shane.
Yeah.
Carmichael and Shane. It's 5.5 minutes.
Anyone that's listening to this, Google that, have a watch of it, and if you're not laughing, you haven't got a sense of humour.
It's true. I tell you what, so it's about a single father of twins that chooses a favourite child, and it's a beautiful exploration of a topic that is close to everyone's heart. But when we made that, and we actually opened a film festival called Telluride Film Festival in America, and Apple was sponsoring that, and because we edited it on an iMac, we were a link to our film was put on the Apple homepage back in the day. That was 2006, so there's only about 5 websites at the time. Apple was the biggest one. Millions of people saw the film. And Americans, you can imagine, they were so desperately confused and thought it was serious.
Oh, this is outrageous.
Yeah. So a lot of people were calling for my children to be removed and all of these things.
Well, it was sad when one of the Carmichael got the bike and the other child didn't, or whatever it was. That was sad on Christmas Day.
Oh, mate, life isn't always easy.
But, seeing those funny little things.
Yeah.
Did that open your world up? Like, I know when we first started to get together, and people might remember this commercial, it was another funny thing that you just stood out. you're going into a pub with a guide dog, and no dogs allowed, and it was a white fluffy dog, and you pretended you were blind, or
That's
something
right.
like that.
It was just a rip-off of a great old joke.
Yeah.
But it was the Tui's ad. And again, it was a really fun thing. And that was actually massive, that ad, because the night our great Australian Kathy Freeman won the 400 metres. And everyone knows where they were that night. And I certainly know where it was. And I certainly know that the ad that they went to the break on after Kathy had won that race was that ad. And so it was seen by 6 million people all at once, thanks to Kathy Freeman's extraordinary thing. And there I was, just being the silly guy. It was a nice little gag and it was a nice little piece. But there are so many bits of being an actor where you get to have these fun little moments and, snippets of time. And people like them, and people like remembering them, and that's a fun thing to be part of.
And traveling round after you won that award to different festivals and that, I would imagine you'd have some fun there.
Oh, it was terrific. So with Tropfest, that was an amazing opportunity. And off the back of that, the people that were sponsoring Tropfest, there was a movie network channels, and they eventually invested all their money into Shandon Pictures, which was my television series, which then, turned me from an actor into a producer and a director and a writer. So that was a really fun thing. The travelling around the world with a short film that's 5.5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But it's the wackiest thing. Now, that was the same year that Forest Whitaker won the Academy Award for playing Idi Amin.
That was a good...
right. So The Last King of Scotland was the film. I'm sitting in Telluride watching The Last King of Scotland before it's released to the public because it's at this very unique festival. I'm sitting there watching The Last King of Scotland, and it's just extraordinary. I feel this presence sitting next to me during the thing, and I'm just clapping at the end of the movie. I'm clapping, and then I look next to me, and Forest Whitaker is sitting next to me at the festival, and I'm like, wow! I remember he won the Academy Award. I said, "Gee, Forest, that's lovely to meet you.
Yeah,
well done. That's incredible that performance." And he looked at me, and he big beaming smile. Now, The Last King of Scotland is not a happy film.
No, it's
a full-on one.
Heavy
so
film.
I'm watching that and just admiring this man's extraordinary craft. And then he's looking at me with a completely different emotion, right? Because he made that movie years ago and he wasn't sitting through the thing. He'd arrived at the end for the Q&A. But he's just come from seeing my short film. So I'm sitting next to Forrest. He's got the biggest, broadest smile on his face, gives me a hug and says, "I've just seen your film. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen." So you've got two people in two completely different emotional spaces saying, "Well done" to each other.
That's a classic.
It was a nice one.
They're great little moments.